Running to me is a way to find adventure in everyday life. I fear the mundane quite a bit. I don't want every day to feel like the same or to just be boring. Some may say that running 17 hours is the most mundane thing you can do, but I think that the challenges and adventures that you have along the journey is what really makes a mundane thing a good story to tell later. Yeah, there's something really exciting about running a country that I don't know very well. I think before even moving here, there was a trail that I wanted to do called the Hillary Trail, which is now closed, but this route gets to cover pieces of it. And it makes me really excited to run those sections because it was something I've been looking at for over a year now. And to be able to take a little bit of the Hillary Trail dream that now can't happen and implement it into something so much bigger that has so much more purpose is really, really exciting to me. I'm definitely not fully over being sick. My last long run, I could tell my lungs aren't quite where they should be or where they were before I got sick, especially on the big climb right before I get to Whatipu Beach. It's a massive stair climb, and just in the test runs that I've done, my lungs really struggle on hills. It's hard for me to control my breathing, and I'm quite scared that it's not going to go well. Mindset going in is 2 words, and that's persevere and have patience. Every ultra has its challenges, and it might not even be my lungs that are the problem this time. Like, who knows what's going to happen? And so to endure is to have patience whenever it hurts and to have perseverance to get through it. And to just sit in those moments, accept them, and move forward. And so going into this, I've been really reflecting on how in those moments, I want to have joy and to not get down. It's really easy to get grumpy and to be upset at things, but a lot of it's not in your control. And so just in all those moments to have joy, and that the rest of my crew sees that and that it's a fun experience for them as well. Who's doing what. And then I have a lovely spreadsheet that breaks down everything. The crew of an ultra is honestly what makes the ultra. They're the people who work behind the scenes and aren't really shown as much, but are vital to the success of the athlete running. The crew meeting, I tried to be as prepared for as possible, but there's always questions that come up or problems you have to solve. Whenever you really start speaking out loud and then you hear other people's concerns and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. So walking into it, I was like, okay, let's try to be as prepared as we can for this. It was always going to be interesting because the whole crew was meeting each other for the first time. So it was also an experiment to see how everyone's going to get along and how the day's going to go. And it was also my only opportunity before the race to sort out all the details and problem solve anything that might come up. Pacers, are meant to set the pace, but they're more there for safety, making sure that you're staying on track and keeping the energies up. They're there at the lowest points of the race. In the past, I've had 2 or 3, so the pacers that I do have is actually a lot, which makes this event really cool because I was able to run with somebody for the majority of it. It wasn't dictated by a race director.
What doesn't she do? She just does everything, it seems, and does everything well, but also does everything in a very considered manner.
She's bubbly, charismatic. She's one of those people that you know is in the room when she's in there. She's a person that you can easily have a conversation with.
She treats everyone like she's been friends with them for years. Like, she's super comfortable making new friends, but then also as you get to know her, it's like you've known her forever already. Like,
willing, determined, and a very keen sense of adventure.
Dedicated, disciplined friend who always sees the positive in things.
She'll want to do something and do it for a reason, do it for a purpose, and then go and do it.
Oh, she's surrounded herself by like people that do amazing things, and I think that's what motivates her the most. Like, she looks at people in her workplace and they're all creative and amazing, like-minded humans that are doing cool stuff, and then you look at her sister, she's an amazing trail run athlete. So I think surrounding yourselves by people like that.
I think just likes to set her own challenges and achieve them and just level up every single time. I don't think she's proving a point to anyone but herself.
I think she is just wanting to do bigger and bigger things and make use of her time on this planet.
I think a mix of her interest in trail running, wanting to explore the country while she's here, and then also just this insane sort of mental push for wanting to do something extreme like that. I think the combination of all of it just like made the coast to coast to coast what it was.
She was saying she's choosing to put herself in pain for the cause, for which a lot of women are in pain and suffering and stuff like that.
And she's a massive advocate for how people feel as well. Like, she's always the first person to ask how you're doing. So I think the reason that she did the run, Woman in Crisis, kind of relates directly to who she is and what she wants. So
I've never had anyone in a friend circle who does crazy things like this.
She is just a machine for running, really. Like, ultra marathons, I imagine, are about like physical endurance as much as they are about mental endurance, and she just has that mental endurance entirely. You know, nothing can really prepare you for it until you actually go and do it.
Morning of the race, I was honestly really stoked. I woke up for the first time all week with energy. I slept well, and I was just excited to start running. I had done so much preparation for this, and all I wanted to do was just get on the start line and start moving. And by the time you got to 4 a.m., I was like, okay, it's go time. I'm ready. And all the nerves kind of got shaken out overnight. The atmosphere was interesting because I was late to my own race. So I was worried that people would be like a little nervous and antsy to be like, all right, where are you? Let's go. But actually everyone was just so nice and excited, which is crazy for it being 5 in the morning, and got to meet some of the new pacers that were added on the day before.
it was good. The vibes were high. We got there, we were kind of chilling for a bit. Music was blaring. We had our mates down there, Matt and Matt, who were just like the most outrageous characters you've probably ever met in your life.
Meeting Matt and Matt was really fun. I knew they were quite experienced trail runners, and they knew the hardest section of my run very well, and I was pretty grateful that they ended up joining in last second, literally the day before. And coming to the start line, I didn't expect them to be there either, and so it was cool to have a little crew of people to send me off, because I was expecting it just to be like the core crew.
I called my mom the morning of the race, and in our family we have a tradition of praying over these big efforts and these runs, like for all my sister's races, for all the runs that I've done, and it's just a prayer of protection over all the circumstances. A quiet moment to both be thankful for the opportunity to do this, but also pray for safety for everyone involved. And yeah, that was really meaningful to be able to hop on the phone, call my mom at 5 a.m.
Wow, I'm feeling good. The city looks really pretty. Better than anything. I'm excited to run. Woohoo! 5:30. Touching the water and running out, the first feeling was, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, it's go. Like, I'm running, and I'm gonna keep running for next however many hours. And then the list of things that I forgot to do started running in my head of like, oh, I hope they know this. Oh, I hope they know this. The niggly thoughts that I hadn't had time to think about started running through my head for like the first 2Ks. And then after that, I just settled in.
I was interested to see how she was going to go throughout the run. And because everything was like to the time throughout the day, exactly what she needed. So I was interested to see how that was going to go. Yeah, I think my thoughts in the morning was just, is her planning going to go to plan? It was just excitement to see how hard or how far she's going to push her body to get this thing done.
I don't think that she believes that it's really happening. But I think she feels good. She seemed excited, so we'll see.
It was fun, like just stomping through my hometown grounds, because hometown, it's not my real hometown, but if I ran right by the street of where I live and where friends live and the cafes I go to, and because it's race day, you have this adrenaline running through you. But something that my coach told me to do is going out slow, walking the hills till my legs wake up. Keeping the lungs steady. Because I had the worry of my lungs, she wanted to make sure that I didn't burn myself out in the first 10K. We wanted to save all my energy for the hard sections. Then I started running through parks, and those parks were real spooky at 5 in the morning. It felt like I'd left home and then suddenly I'm in somewhere that doesn't feel at all like home. And it had me a bit scared, honestly. I had switched from, what am I doing? How did I get here? To, okay, we're on a mission, let's keep going, let's push. Coming into aid station 1, I was just like a few Ks out and ended up taking a wrong turn because my GPS turned off. And it didn't add much distance. It honestly just made me laugh. I'm like, of course. It was a funny moment. Was I a little annoyed that my GPS turned off? A little bit, but it's like you can't do anything about it, so you might as well just keep going. And the distance I was running was already arbitrary, so the 0.2 added on didn't really matter in the end. I was really excited to see the crew, and after running through the spooky parks, I was like, all right, I'm ready to see some people.
At the first aid station, I was feeling just really excited. It was just the start. It was a first aid station, so it was sort of the test of how, sort of almost like my capabilities of making sure that I could do it. And so first aid station, we get there. She's obviously in really good spirits. It was something like 11 Ks in, so it'd been an hour since we left the start point. And she was just fine. She knew that she needed a change of clothes because the set she was wearing was like cutting in on her.
I had a quick clothing change, which was well needed. My body was quite inflamed from being sick, and my clothes weren't fitting quite as they used to.
After that first aid station, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, we're gonna be fine.
I just knew from how she interacts at work that she's quite structured and organized. She'll keep everything put together.
At each aid station, I was just like so zoned in on like what she had on the spreadsheet and what she needed. It made my life so easy. I didn't have to ask her. I just got everything ready. She showed up. She'd give me her vest. I would just like swap everything out, check on her if she needed anything. And she's so independent and had this all planned so well already that she knew exactly what she needed. There was no guessing. It was cool seeing her in her element, and she's just such a boss. I think just her certainty, her good spirits, and then everyone around us too. It was really unknown before that first aid station. We just didn't know what to expect. And then after that, it just set us up for like really structured and efficient aid stations after that.
I really wanted to get to the trails as soon as possible because I knew that's whenever the true adventure began. Okay, you want to take off? Thank you, guys.
Okay, see you soon.
See you soon.
Even though I'd only had one aid station, I just knew it was going to be a fun day. And getting into aid station 2 confirmed that even more. The entire time running from aid station 1 to 2, I was just grinning ear to ear, just happy to be out there. And I didn't recognize where I was, even though I'd visited out there many times on the scouting mission. I hadn't visited the exact running section that gets you to the second aid station in Titirangi. And I was like, where am I? And then all of a sudden I like pop out and I see you guys' like cameras over me and Nell like being like, hi.
We met up with Maggie, who was her first pacer to join on the run. And Maggie was obviously just like fresh as a daisy and like so happy and just excited to get out there with Jill.
I'm feeling okay. Yeah, I'm feeling like it's 10K, you know? It's all good. I haven't done as much prep as I would like, but it'll be crazy.
Good morning.
I don't think Jillian was struggling in the slightest at that point, but I think it really boosted her spirits, like she'd have someone to chat with.
Running with Maggie was really fun. We had really good chats and she just brought this level of peace and calm to our run, because I think she was equally as excited as I was to be running the trail. And she's both so calming in the way that she speaks and has just this very chill presence. Maggie and I were just on a high of like, this is so beautiful. Like, I can't believe we get to run out here. And it was still quite runnable trails, very flowy. And then we got to the water crossing and I was really hoping I wouldn't have to get my feet wet. Obviously deep enough that if I tried to cross it, my feet would be fully wet. And then Meg was like, wait, what if we went downstream and see if there's any extra like stones that might be peeking up? And we like trampled down through the grass to the stream and there were some rocks and I was like, this is what paces are for, like to make sure my feet are dry and actually think through the situation whenever I was like, oh. The funny thing is Maggie ended up falling in the river, not me.
Didn't know there was a river crossing, but that's okay. I fell in, but that's okay. We had to walk up some of the hill bits. Jillian's doing real well. I can see that. I think she's caught up a little bit to her timing. Yeah, which is good.
Running a good pace, she's getting it done. We'll see what she's like once she gets to the big boy trails. It even makes me a little bit nervous for those trails, so here we go. Because she's doing like there and back. So much easier doing like a loop and then you don't have to run what you've already run. But we'll see. I'm sure she'll be fine. Hopefully the weather sticks around like this. It was meant to get a little bit hairy this afternoon, so we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't rain, nothing worse than wet shoes, so we'll see how we go. Positive thoughts.
Third aid station possibly might have been my favorite aid station. There's a lot of people there. I had finished the first trail section. I just get stoked on trails, so I was happy. Everyone else was happy and still in rhythm, and I was about to go run on road, and all the boys were so antsy to run. I could tell, like, me sitting there and getting some extra juice and food, they're like, please, can I run? Yeah, just seeing everyone smiling, the music playing.
We got the speaker out, we were pumping music, switching to Bryn, who's such a different personality type to Maggie, who's just a little sweetheart, and then there's Bryn, who's just this like, I don't know, rugged firefighter. Since Bryn has such good fitness with running as well, they were just like chatting the whole way, and he's just really practical and he won't go easy on you and stuff like that. So I think she was a little bit excited for that kind of personality because she's sort of similar type of personality.
Even with Bryn, he asked me a question, like, what pace are you looking for? And I was like, well, I just want to be patient throughout this whole run. And the ideal pace that I need to hit to keep time going properly was 7:30. So this was a road section. I knew I could move a little bit faster since it wasn't trail, or the next trail section after that was going to slow me down quite a bit, and I knew that. So I was like, okay, between the 7:30, and he's like, gotcha, I'll keep you on pace.
Yeah, when I joined Jillian at Lower Dam Road, like, things at that point were so easy. I mean, it was a road section. It was a bit hilly, but it was like nothing compared to what we were about to run, so.
Coming out of the aid station, I think I accidentally chugged a little too much juice, so my stomach didn't feel very good. So I had to settle into the first few Ks of that run and did the power hike up the hills and run down the hills. Power hiking, I was able to keep a 7:30 pace, and then downhill I was hitting like some 6-minute paces, which I was real happy with.
It was good. She was in massively good spirits. We just talked about nutrition and running and what we wanted to do and how we thought the day was going to go. And it flew by, like it was super easy. It wasn't a long section, but it was enjoyable.
Overall, really strong pacing section where he would remind me to eat food every 30 minutes, just reminding me of the intention that I had set, which was to have patience and not try to blitz a road section and burn myself out right before a big stair section.
And I think for the crew as well, like we realized that we've got it in the bag. Like we've 3 or 4 aid stations down, so it was just like we were just there to like pump people up and yeah, put on some music and have a little dance, and the sun was shining at that point, which was awesome. So yeah, I think that was probably one of my favorite aid stations because it's kind of just before it started getting really tough.
There was about 3 Ks of the 10K section that had footpath. The rest you're either in a ditch or on a very narrow edge of the road with cars flying by you. And there was definitely a few cars that decided to zoom real close real fast and was not enjoyable. The one thing that was a little annoying was having to jump down into a ditch and run the ditch path and then get back up. Wastes a bit of energy. Luckily I had some to spend. Coming into the 4th aid station, I got to feel some speed under my legs and I still had energy. I was 40 Ks in, but it felt like I had run 10 Ks. I still had quite a bit of energy. It might have been from chugging the Red Bull at aid station 2. I had some tightness in my hips, so I knew at that aid station I wanted to do some banded work to activate the muscles around my hips to help them not feel so fiery. The hip pain that I started experiencing, which is a long-term overuse injury, I felt very early on. Honestly, coming out of aid station 1, climbing into Tarangi into aid station 2, it started acting up. I was honestly fearing my hips feeling that way and not being able to control it. Having it pop up so early, I was like, oh no, how do I get on top of this? If I hadn't figured out in training how to manage that hip pain, I would have been quite fearful of how it would progress, but I was prepared for it.
You could tell that she was starting to need a little bit more like ice cubes in her neck scarf, and like certain things were starting to bother her, like her hair. We sat her down, I plaited her hair into 2 bits so that it would just be out of the way, out of her face. She wouldn't think about it anymore.
Leaving aid station 4, honestly, looking back, is quite comical. Like, I was in such high spirits and like really stoked. I was like, yeah, this trail section is gonna be fun. It's gonna be good. It's like the first true like hard trail section, but I'm ready for it. And I was going in alone, and then I like get a kilometer in, if that, and boom, the steepest stairs I could ever imagine. And yeah, I was just woefully unprepared for that. Not necessarily like my body couldn't handle it, but I just didn't know how many stairs there really were and how steep it was.
There's bits of it that has chains, so you're pulling yourself up the sides of these little cliffs with chains. Like, it's not your typical kind of trail running section. It's New Zealand showing you what New Zealand's got to offer. It's pretty bloody gnarly. So
at that point, I don't think she had any idea what she was getting into. It's interesting because before the run, I think it was the week before, I was at our run club, NARC, and I was chatting to Matt Smith and Matt Brown, who weren't meant to come on this crew day with Jill, but they ended up just saying yes to it. But I was chatting to them about that section of trail, and they were saying that it's the hardest trail run in New Zealand, like, or at least one of. I just knew that we'd have no idea how the rest of the day would go until she at least did that first half, which was Huia to Whatipu, and then that would be the official halfway point before turning around. So I think that we all sort of knew that this was going to be the test to see how she'll hold up on that, but then also knowing that all of the boys would be there at the other side to go back with her at her pace. I think that made me feel a little bit better about it, that she could test it out by herself, and then she knew that she'd have support on the way back in case it was as tough as we kind of anticipated.
I had to really focus in on my breathing because my heart rate was through the roof because I still couldn't take full breaths from bronchitis.
I'm about 3.5 weeks away from running across the width of New Zealand. And I currently sound like this. I have an infection in my lungs and laryngitis in my throat, which is why I can't really speak. And I'm just sitting here thinking about how I should be running and how I want to be training. Now I'm just sitting here wanting to train because I have so much to train for. Because I know I'm gonna make it. It's just gonna be difficult.
It was funny because there's this one cliff face that you see from the parking lot of the aid station. And I was like, oh, surely the trail goes just around that and over, not straight up that cliff. No, it goes straight up the cliff, just next to it. And I didn't realize that. It felt never ending. It didn't stop going. I thought that once I got to that first ridgeline, because I could see the water, that it was just like a little bit of traversing and then I was there. Turns out there was 4 full summits until I got there. I was running quickly, but the stairs were just a slog. You couldn't move any faster on them. There was no real reprieve in that section. And it was the hottest part of the day. By the 3rd full summit, I was like, oh, please make that last mountain the last mountain. And there's not another one after that. And I got up to the top and I was like, oh, thank goodness, I'm actually here. I went down the connecting trail to get to the beach. I get to the bottom and I get blocked by this hiking family, or I don't know who they were, but they were all having to spray and wipe their feet and they were taking ages. And I was like, okay, have patience, Jillian, have patience. Once hit the sand and I was like, oh, I have to run through sand now. I just climbed like 15,000 stairs in the heat of the day and now it's time for a sand slog. Though I didn't have a ton of emotions thinking that it was halfway or that I'd just run across the whole country, the feeling of touching the water and my hands feeling better, I was like, oh, we've made it.
Honestly, my lungs are not feeling bad at all. I would say keeping a low heart rate on the stairs was harder. So I've had to take those a little slower going up seas, which I expected. But yeah, honestly, feel pretty normal. This last 10K felt really long because it was longer than all my others. And I was by myself, so just no one to distract you.
I am going to be pacing Jill through this hell of a section right here, which is going to be nice and fun. Lots of elevations, nice and slow. But we'll get it down. She's got us. The trail goat right here.
Oh, I try. But yeah, it should be good.
She was pretty good because she'd just come down the hill, and that hill was it's a big, big hill. So us sitting there looking up, we were a bit daunting, but her coming down, she looked pretty fresh. She was keen. She was raring to go. Obviously, she's just done almost 50 Ks at this point, so the body's kind of feeling it. You don't want to sit down and relax for too long because everything starts to seize up and get a bit sore, but no, she was good. Us boys were itching to get out there. Obviously, by this point, part of that track had chewed her up a little bit, so you could kind of start to see that this is an ultra rather than just an everyday run. yeah, we were keen to just tackle what we considered what was going to be the hardest bit of the run, so it was going to be pretty interesting from there on, so it's going to be good.
How you think Jillian's feeling right now?
Pretty tired at the moment, I think, but still in really good spirits. Got some more company on this one, so there'll be people chatting and chugging her along and stuff.
Do you think that the boys are going to be too much for her? Or?
Yeah. No, no, I don't think so. But she has AirPods if she needs them to tune them out. So, which I would do.
Whatipu back to Huia over Omanawinui track. Crazy. Wild. Yeah.
All of it again was a little bit intimidating. To run from Whatipu back to Huia, I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I wasn't sure when the hardest part of the day was, but after running the first section of Huia to Whatipu, I knew that the hardest part of the day is getting back to Huia.
The first uphill section, we walked it, which is understandable because it's like vertical stairs, it's gnarly as. And then you get to the next flat bit and you're like, oh, this will be good. And then vertical uphill stairs, gnarly again. There's bits of it that has chains, so you're pulling yourself up the sides of these little cliffs with chains. Like, it's not your typical kind of trail running section.
Running with the guys is honestly the most cracked up experience ever. We made the joke, it was like my last 4 brain cells following me. They added so much chaos, and we're laughing in the back and cracking jokes, and I was kind of in shut down, head down, go up the stairs, keep pushing, control my breath mode, so I wasn't necessarily engaging in it, but it kept me entertained.
Us boys just tried to bring our kind of stupid chat to it to try kind of keep it going, and I think that's what worked out.
Instead of them being like, oh, she's so slow, they were all so encouraging and like picking me up, but then also distracting me from the pain that was existing.
She was hurting by probably the 5K mark through that, like quite a bit. And it's not until you get to about the 8K mark that you start to go back down the other side of the hill. It's pretty much 8Ks of uphill, and then you've got 2Ks downhill. And I think by that downhill bit, her legs were so gassed from the uphill bit that even the downhill bits were starting to hurt a bit more than she thought. So
Bryn and Phil checked in a lot of like how I was doing. So there was a few times that Bryn had to put out his arm so I didn't fall off the cliff. My lungs started tightening up, and so I couldn't take full deep breaths, which meant I wasn't getting enough oxygen climbing up the stairs. And we all looked at our watches, and all 5 of us, our heart rates were like 177, like all of us. So it wasn't that it was an easy section for anybody, it just might have been slightly easier having not done 40 Ks beforehand.
yeah, I think New Zealand kind of chewed her up and spat her out and taught her what New Zealand's all about, I think.
By the time we got back to Huia Road and we were waiting for the guys to come with Jill from Whatipu to meet us, I remember just sitting there and there was no service, so I was trying to track them, but nothing was really working, so I'd go back down to the road and try and track them, but then they also didn't have service in the hills. So it was honestly just this insane anticipation. I was worried that they were going to stop for ages, or if she's like, I don't know, you know, all those feelings and thoughts that were just coming up, like, oh my gosh, what if she just gives up? Like,
I don't think my estimated time was at all accurate for the terrain because I didn't know what was out there.
Coming into the aid station, I was honestly still pretty chipper internally, like, but also quite tired. So whenever I sat in the chair, I feel like there's this ultra stare, like where you kind of disassociate.
How's that?
It's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
I'm not in the chair.
The lungs did not hold up on the stairs.
Yeah.
I like.
Good stuff.
Oh, sorry.
You did good.
Good work. Thank you guys.
All good, man.
Energy.
Nice job.
The vibes. Woo!
Good.
Made it through.
Yeah. So that was good. It was good having the crew around. Bloody tough though. I think we gave it a good shot. Yeah, no, that was mean, I think. What do you guys reckon?
Vibes are on.
Yeah.
We're singing.
Immaculate vibes.
What
Yeah.
happens in the bush stays in the bush. Those kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Won the trails, won the day. The stairs down were easier, but they were sore, I think.
Yeah, on the knees for sure.
Yeah.
Knees. Yeah, the hit.
I'm tired. My body hurts.
Where's them?
But
That's
we were able to cruise that last part, which brought up my spirit.
Where's my car? Is it down there?
The stairs
Oh, are we just okay?
killed me a little bit
and then
because I couldn't get enough oxygen. And then like my heart rate was sitting at like 177
So I'll be up to it.
for like 3
that's the
hours.
next aid station.
So then I got a
Jack
bit
takes over because
woozy.
Jack's running. Or Jack? Yeah, Jack's running. There.
But
You guys are off it.
Yeah.
it's all downhill from here.
Like just 10Ks. Hello.
I still have a 40,000K run.
Yeah.
Yep. Where? Across the world?
Yeah.
Yep.
All the way.
That's awesome.
Yes, I've got currently the fit is Run Club shirt. This is 100% cotton, heavyweight, made in America. Perfect for running. AS color shorts that are just shorts. Cotton socks. Warriors hat. Hellenstein sunglasses. We're golden. I don't need no vest. I'm also crew captain now, so that's pretty fun. I'm in charge of the gels and the water and the vibes.
How are you feeling about that?
I was looking forward to the road section with Jack. I knew that I could cruise and kind of shake out the legs from that section.
I joined when the track sort of stopped and the road started. And by that point, Jillian was quite knackered from those hills, having to climb what looks to be like a kilometre of elevation each way. So a pretty gnarly bit of track to a trail run, and then going straight from there to running on the road was pretty hard for her.
I was hoping I'd be further along the trail at that time of day, knowing that it was getting later and I was losing crew. Like that's where it really felt like an ultra. Jack was a fun pacer. He was bouncing with energy, ready to jump in and cruise the road with me. We had good chats. He was just like dancing behind me and picking up stuff off the side of the road and carrying them for some reason. Like, he realized that being a pacer isn't really that much about keeping a certain pace. It was mostly about bringing the vibes.
It was my first time pacing. And it's not about the pace you set or maintaining a pace or like trying to outrun Jillian. It's really about setting the vibes and vibe pacing. Boom! I obviously had all this energy and I was perfectly fine. I was in no pain and I was just hanging out, and here she was just slogging away. All I could really do was just yap and hang out. I mean, I found some snails on the side of the road that were pretty cool, kauri snails. It felt very scary on the side of the road. It's a 100K road. People coming, hooning through it at one point was made even worse given the fact there was no footpath. And so we're on the road, we're off the road, we're in the divot, we're crossing a bridge with no footpath. I don't know, it wasn't very fun for me. Like, I would never want to run that, but it's just like you have to because there's no other way. It was a slow and steady sort of pace. It was walking up hills. It was jogging slowly down them. I think we averaged about 10 to 15 minute Ks, which is understandable given she just run 50. So fair enough. It was a bit strange because by that point this entire crew of 10 people essentially had left, and it was just at the end of that section, the road section was just Ollie and my car, and I was also crew captaining. I'd also never crew captained, so I was just like, oh, what do you want? Got a chair out and, you know, a few gels and some water or whatever.
I was concerned about it getting dark, and I was going back onto a trail where you're further in the bush, and just with my level of fatigue and it becoming darker, I didn't feel like it was a smart move to run that by myself, nor did I want to. Jack ended up pacing me for an extra section. I was running on the road with him and we're talking about the next one. He's like, oh, you're gonna be alone. And I was like, I really don't want to be alone for that. And he's like, well, I can just jump in. And I was like, hey, if you want to, I'd love to. He's like, why didn't you ask earlier? And I was like, because you're supposed to be my crew captain.
Starting that section was good. It was up a hill to start to get up to the dam. As we made our way around it, and we weren't jumping on and off roads, and the trail was a lot more well maintained and less impact on it. I think we really started to make a good pace. But we got to the river crossing, and she was going to hop in and we were going to hop over the rocks, and I was like, actually, this is probably a little bit dangerous because her hips were giving her grief, and you kind of need that stability and that balance, and I'm sure she would have lost it, quite a bit of it, over that last 60 Ks or something. So I just like walked in the water and just held her through. As going in, I was like, she has not like got any balance right now. We're just gonna like walk over this and just hope she's all good. It would have added some tension to the documentary at least. That would have been good. I should have pushed her in. By that point, it actually started getting dark, right? There was a bit of tree cover and it was one more section to go, I think, with Jake. That was through just bush trail.
Handover from Jack to Jake was really good, honestly.
As crew captain, I went down to the crew vehicle, the trusty Land Rover, and grabbed out some head torches and some reflective equipment for the night section.
And then running that gravel section with Jake was quite interesting because my hips were real tight. They hadn't quite loosened up yet. Jake was able to find a balance between having conversations and letting the quiet be okay. There's this pull between the pain that I was feeling and knowing I still had 20 Ks to go and it was dark, and dealing with the fact that I didn't want to be running in the dark. I wanted to finish a long time ago but wasn't quite there. I switched into get this done mode and had one thought on my mind, and that was getting to the end.
After that, it came to road running in the dark, which is, I think, slightly more dangerous than running on a trail in the dark. Obviously, it comes with different risks, but the main one is crossing roads and being seen by killer vehicles. So we gave Jake a little flashy, reflective running belt.
The plan was that Jillian was going to run just a bit ahead of me, and I was going to be sort of the tail end.
We get a few Ks down the road. Jake just goes,
hold on a minute, I don't know where my light is.
And I was like, oh no. And he's like, do I go back for it? And I was like, just quickly look up the road and see if it's up there. If not, like, let's head back.
And we were in some random street. It was pitch black.
Jillian had her Find My turned on her phone, and so did Jake. We realized that like Jake and Jillian were in two different places.
So I told Jillian to just keep moving a little bit, and I'm just going to sprint back and have a quick look for it. Could not find it anywhere.
It doesn't matter at this point. We'll leave it on the road. It'll be fine.
And then it was probably another 5K in. Stopped
at a stoplight, and I see this little neon green peeking out from his shirt, and I was like, what's that? It turns out the belt was on him the whole time, and it was just hidden underneath his other belt thing that he had on with, and I was like, of course that happened. Before that got resolved, after he came trotting back without the belt, we dipped into a park, and I was running off of his navigation, so I no longer knew the route. I'm like, where are we going? My headlamp's the only one working, and we can't see anything. 2-3 Ks, we managed to lose a belt, get lost in a park, and have to jump the fence of a school to get to the main road. Yeah, after that, the road was quite cruisy. Felt like we really fell into a rhythm.
We could see the Auckland skyline for the first time, the Sky Tower, and I felt that our moods instantly lifted.
Yeah, we followed her and Jake to that random person's house, on that random street in Avondale.
Running into the last aid station, I'm looking out and I see this bald head glowing underneath the street lamp. And it was my boss, Stan. And I didn't expect him to be there. And so it was a nice surprise, and it definitely put a smile on my face to see some people, but also know that Joni and Claire were sitting waiting there. And I honestly had been looking forward to that last pacing section with Joni and Claire because I knew they would just bring the energy and the excitement and make it feel like a true accomplishment and event and celebrate it well. Having people who made it feel like a party was really fun and really cool, and I'm grateful that they hopped in for that last section.
They definitely brought a whole bunch of energy, a whole bunch of vibes to the run. I don't know if Jillian was in the mood for it or not, but it was awesome to see them there.
I knew she'd still be smiling even if she was in pain because she was just doing what she'd set out to do, and her mind is strong as hell, and she would have crossed that line no matter in whatever state she could have with a smile on her face.
Joni on her bike, pretty iconic, and then Claire and Jake running alongside.
If you don't know Joni, like, you'd be like, this girl's crazy, what is she doing? But she's just the ultimate hype woman for everybody, and came in on the bike because she's injured and couldn't run. But I think it brought a level of ridiculousness that, I don't know, it just made it feel iconic.
This training season's been really hard. I started off with the flu. Got pretty healthy after that, and then I recently lost my grandma. She battled cancer many times and continued to support us grandchildren and her children and her husband. She led by example, and this run is no longer just about raising money for women in crisis. It's to honor my grandma and all that she's meant as the woman in my life whose resilience is inspirational. It's for my mom, who has never stopped believing in me and believing I can do hard things, and all my sisters who do incredible work in all they do. These are the women in my life that support me to be able to do things like this, and that I get to support women to do hard things through much suffering. Because I know I'm gonna make it. It's just gonna be difficult.
So we dropped off Jake at his house, ironically on the route. There's actually a funny moment where I was like, oh, do you feel really accomplished? You just ran from Titirangi back home. Like, that's kind of a crazy run when you think about it.
So while I had originally signed up to run 12Ks, I ended up running double that and ran about 23. And we parted ways, and I wished them good luck for the rest of the run, just around the corner from Ponsonby Road. So that was pretty cool.
And I knew with the route in my head, that was the final hill, 200-metre gradual incline. It had been very stop-start for, 9Ks. And then all of a sudden just got to this point where I was like, no, we are on the home straight. Like, it is just onwards and upwards, onwards and downwards from this point forward.
Get up onto Ponsonby Road, and it's such a dichotomy of me running and all these people out partying because it's a Saturday night and it's like 10 p.m.
The restaurants were spilling out onto the streets. There were people everywhere, and it was around like 10, 11 p.m. at this point, so people were not sober.
Joni would yell at every single person we passed and make all of the people at the bars cheer as I'm going by, and no matter what the pain I was in, we're just gonna go all out. Especially when I turned the corner onto Franklin Road. I was like, this is a downhill, we're cruising as much as we can, and we're in focus mode to get there.
But yeah, as soon as we hit the top of Franklin Road, and it's just a solid downhill straight, and you can just let your legs expand and just let the wind take you down. And yeah, that's pretty thrilling on any other day, let alone when you know there's a giant finish line after it.
It hurt. I can tell you it hurt a lot. And I felt like I was flying, but I'm sure it looked like I was going at snail's pace.
She was running pretty quick.
Claire, she asked me how I was feeling in context of like, oh, you're about to finish this race, like, how are you feeling? But all I could think about was the pain that I was in and pushing past it. So I was like, I'm feeling all right, but my hips really hurt. I don't know, I can't really feel anything other than just wanting to be done.
On the final stretch, it was pretty cool. At that point, there's a few more people who joined her to run with the last section, and she was just going so quick.
Jillian was just locked in on the prize. She wasn't showing a whole lot of emotion just yet. She was just willing just to get to the end.
All I could feel is Claire's footsteps behind me, and that just was the rhythm that I was pushing for, and it was what was keeping me going. And I really honestly wanted to walk in parts of that section because of how much it hurt to run. But I was like, you just gotta finish strong, finish strong. Honestly, the first time I had felt accomplishment or a sense of concluding, like I always was asked how things felt the whole run of like, how do you feel now? How do you feel now that you're halfway? Or how do you feel that you're a K out? And I couldn't really feel anything because I was on a mission, and when I slammed my hand down, the mission was complete and I could finally feel the sense of accomplishment, that it was done. And then I wanted to sit down because I was tired. It circles back to the whole reason why I wanted to do it, and that was to help women in crisis and to be a voice and to use my capabilities to shine light on those who don't have such fortune as I, and struggle. And I went through all of the struggles and pain and adversity, but I chose to do that. And these women do not get to choose to be in pain, and they don't get to choose to challenge themselves. It's just naturally put in their way. And when I slammed that my hand down, it just felt like a concluding statement that I get to be done, but also a remembrance that most women in crisis do not get to just put their hand on a railing and be done with the pain. And it lasts for a long time.